Hello and welcome to New Filmmakers Los Angeles in partnership with Movie Maker magazine. My name is Danny DeLillo. We're here at the South Park Center. I'm delighted to be joined with Donovan, who's come all the way from Washington to be with us, so thank you very much, with his fantastic film, Aiden. Let's take a look at the clip.
Hold on, won't you hold on? I know I just have to be strong. Won't you hold, but each time that I try to move on, won't you hold on to me? I keep falling to it deeper. Would you hold me? Oh, strength, 'cause my strength is gone, my strength is gone, my strength comes and goes.
Seriously, Donovan, thank you so much for being with us. Welcome to the New Filmmakers LA family. Thank you so much for bringing Aiden. I've got so many questions, but for those that haven't seen it, tell us a brief synopsis.
So Aiden is a shortened version of a longer film that I wrote. We didn't have money to make the feature, so I tried to create a story arc based on the two main characters. And so the short story is about a strangely malfunctioning android who gets injured, and a news reporter who has been following it for a story decides to kidnap it and try to find this kind of the truth of its existence.
Yeah.
And that kind of is the beginning of their story.
It's a brilliant film. Like,
Thank
honestly,
you.
like I had tears. I really did. It was. I found it very moving, actually, and which, you know, I don't know if everyone felt that, but I certainly did. Where did the inspiration come for you, Donovan, in creating this story?
Well, I had a lot of time during the pandemic to think, and I kind of, during the time there was also racial upheaval throughout the country.
Yeah.
People rioting, and it just made me think about racism in general, and just made me think about why people, you know, are able to dehumanize another person. And these aren't new thoughts for me, but during that time I kind of just thought about it even more. And I started getting on kind of interested in AI and technology, and used the idea of an android to explore what it means to be human, as kind of a way to understand more about our own human nature around racism.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, through the character, you know, of Aiden, it was, you know, obviously in this case, it's a bot, right? In this case, and it scared me, the idea that is what we may end up being. Like, I feel like we're already taking things for granted in those respects, and kind of lack of, you know, interest, empathy, all those things. But then when you really look at the psychology of what you created, that's how a lot of people have been treated, you know, real people.
Actually, yeah, this is, yeah, good.
You know,
Glad you observed that.
And you know, especially like, even just, you know, how people, you know, people in valet, how they open doors. Like, I mean, that really stuck with me, just how it was just getting brushed away like that, because there are people out there that treat people like that. And so the fact that you reflected that upon the kind of racial upheaval in this country, I thought was really symbolic. Was that a little intentional, what you were trying to?
It kind of all just worked itself out in that way, and it kind of made sense to portray him as a kind of a service worker, because I feel like those are the jobs that will get moved that way. And you know, and it just seems to me that, what is that relationship like when we have kind of this bot that's like a slave?
Yeah.
How does that transform us as humans? What is that? Does that turn us more, you know, do we diminish lives in general? Do we think we're godlike, or, you know, and like, how does that affect us? And I just hope people that maybe as the story gets told even further, that we can elaborate and try to figure out what that is. Yeah.
I mean, in this case, you've got this, you know, person that wants to, you know, kind of save this being, and, you know, I mean, it was, you know, again, I found it very touching. But, you know, I think it also kind of showed that, you know, direction of like, the essence we're losing it, as humans, we're also lacking a little bit of humanity, you know, in our daily lives in certain respects of how we treat things. And is that something that you wanted to touch upon as well, especially with the inspiration behind the story?
Yeah, and I kind of am interested in cities, and I'm interested in the where we belong in cities and just the massive machines that we live in. And that's why I created Elise, to kind of have a more, the human side. And I kind of imagine them both as really one character. So I've kind of divided them into two, and they're one protagonist in my mind.
Yeah.
And so they kind of reflect each other. And her role is kind of like this, I kind of alluded to the idea maybe she has a drug problem. She's oppressed by her boss, who kind of mistreats her and forces her into this job that she's not really interested in. So that kind of oppressive world, you know, she sees maybe that in him. He's also oppressed, you know, so in a way, he inspires her to take control of her own life.
Yeah.
Which was something that my goal for that film was to kind of show people taking control of their lives, like breaking out of personal prisons, I called them. And so he's trapped in this dream world, she's trapped in this oppressive society.
Yeah. And
they kind of come together and help each other.
It really showed. Let's talk about your actors, because I thought they both did a fantastic job. Really, really clever to see them. And how, you know, as a director, Lynn, how did you go about, you know, directing a film? There's particularly a character like Aiden as well. How was that experience for you?
The experience of finding them was really cool. You know, I did a lot of Facebook hunting for people and asking for.
Oh, really?
Yeah, Facebook and like Backstage is another one that I put feeders out, and I made a Pinterest board of all my images for the film that I used to kind of get people interested. And he saw it on one of my posts. He wasn't on Backstage. He wasn't on social media. He went through the Pinterest and like got my email and reached out. So it was a really kind of a circuitous route that he came to me. And as soon as I saw him, I knew that I wanted him, because he's mixed like me, and like I feel like there's something about that look that translates to the androidness, for whatever case that may be. And her, Elise, is someone that, she's an artist and a director. She won a competition for her short film that she wrote about a werewolf. I loved her art, and we were talking just about her art. And one day I brought up the film, and I shared the script with her because I wanted her feedback. And she's like, do you want me to play the role? And yes, I did. I saw her picture, and she was like this tall, really strong female. And she was just perfect for it. And she wanted the role, and we just went with it. And she did a great job of evoking Elise's like kind of inner struggles.
Yeah, no, absolutely. What was some of the challenges you had making this film? Was there any kind of challenges in making it?
Well, it was pretty straightforward. I mean, I had a great mentor, and his name's James Winters, and he's the DP and the cinematographer for the film.
Yeah, really good job.
So James Winters has a ton of experience, and I got him on board. He liked the story and wanted to work on it. And, you know, I produced the whole thing. I organized everything. I just was really organized about things. And, but he had gear, so it was like he had everything, and that made things really smooth. And he was really confident behind the camera, and that brought a lot of confidence to the set.
Yeah.
And otherwise, you know, yeah, there was no major hiccups. Other than like some really late night, middle of the night shoots, and we had some characters come up and like interrupt, and we had to like deal with them. So
where did you film on the beach as well, right? As well.
So there's two main locations, well, three locations, but two parts of town. One of them is it's a golf course in University Place called Chambers Bay, and it's an old gravel yard from like, you know, turn of the century, and it's just this big barren place. And these big concrete structures are actually like, they hold all the gravel, you know, and now that they're all dilapidated, it looks so post, you know, industrial wasteland. And yeah, it's right on the water there on the Puget Sound. And so we filmed his dreamscape there. This is the effect I was trying to bring about, like where he has he has a dream state in his body. There's not a lot of like exposition about what he is. but the idea is that his body is being controlled by AI, and he's been trapped in this dream world. So that's his dream world. And the other locations are in downtown Tacoma. The apartment sequence with Elise is shot in a old glass factory in downtown, and the outdoor sequence when what happens there, like looking at the sunrise, that's in downtown on the Thea Foss Waterway, which is kind of like Commencement Bay.
Yeah.
It's our industrial waterfront in Tacoma.
Oh, amazing. Looking back on the film, making this film, inspiration behind why you made this film, seeing it out with a live audience, what's that experience been like, sharing it in festivals, and what did you want your audience to take from your film too?
I did a screening with friends and family when we completed it. We did 2 screenings in one night. So all my friends and family and people that were interested in the film, and that was great because we packed the theaters and it was totally packed for both of them, and they were all just blown away about how amazing it looked. Number one, they were like, "You actually made something that looks legitimate," and a lot of them had like really thought-provoking questions, and people were seeing things that other people didn't see, which was really gratifying because I tried to not be too hit your head over with a hammer kind of exposition and detail about what's happening. So people were asking questions and thinking about what this all meant. What does this mean? And we had a good conversation about that exact topic, like what does this mean?
Yeah.
And there's also a little part in the film, I'm not sure if you noticed, but there was like a crane shot or a drone shot floating up, and there was a little picture of this graffiti of this word that said empathy that was down there, right? And when we first shot that, we thought, do you want that in there? It's kind of like this giant thing. But I stopped and thought about it, and it made total sense that it belonged there, as if it was speaking to us through that other dimension of how movies get made. So we left it in, and it made a lot of sense because in a way it was about empathy, about empathy for our fellow humans that we see and need help. So
absolutely.
And like to go back to the screening stuff, everyone has been wanting to know what happens next, and so that's cool. So I'm glad they're interested to know what happens next.
So am I. What is happening next?
For this thing, I'm kind of working on finishing it to make it more polished. I would like help to develop it more. It's kind of hard to work on something without someone saying like, we love it, let's go do something, or it's kind of, so it's kind of a work in progress. I've submitted it out to different people to try and see what happens with it, but it is a bigger story, and someday I'd like to see it get made and really expand on the world and topics around AI and work and spirituality and death and humanity. All those things are all built into that story. But other than that, I'm just trying to make more films. So I got a grant from the city of Tacoma to
Congrats.
Thank you, to make a film in Tacoma. And so with their help and some other funds, I was able to put a budget together, and we went and shot our next short film, which is called, we don't have a real name for it yet, but it's called Jacob's Ladder, tentatively, and it's about a homeless drug addict who decides to seek help after having a vivid dream. And so I just want to tell a story about a young man who's living on the streets, and through a mysterious, mystical route comes, after making bad decision after bad decision after bad decision, still is able to get out, and so that's really interesting for me to work on.
And congratulations on the grant and making this film, and well done, because it's not easy out there to get those grants. So congratulations to you, and I'm glad you're making it in the hometown. But certainly with Aiden, I can't wait for more. If there's more, because I was just left wanting more, and I love the exploration you took around it as well. It was really impactful and powerful. For you as a filmmaker in your career thus far, do you have any advice for us? Anything you go by as a creative person you could share with other filmmakers?
I would say watch good movies. Go out of your comfort zone of what you see on our typical platforms. I subscribe to Criterion channel.
Yeah, I love Criterion.
So, and you will discover some amazing stuff if you just go there.
Yeah.
And I would really get into filmmakers and their motivations and read books about how they're thinking and why they're doing the things they do. And I think that to me was very inspiring to know that it's a real powerful medium that I'm not sure if, it's not totally being capitalized on in modern, in kind of like mass media, in my opinion.
No, absolutely, and that's good suggestion for Criterion as well. Well, listen, Donovan, thank you so much for coming down to LA to be with us. Thank you so much for Aiden, and wishing you best success on your next film, but looking forward to your next project. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Pleasure to be here.